A woman finds herself questioning her memories when her ex-lover reappears in her life, only to disappear mysteriously. Estelle swims in the ocean when she notices something that looks like a body, only to find that it's a couple of jellyfishes. The woman then swims to shore, spotting two people watching from a cliff. Ignoring this, Estelle heads to the house nearby but is shocked to find it in ruins. While looking around, she sees a mysterious woman heading to the bedroom. Estelle tries to follow her but accidentally steps on broken glass. The woman tends to her wound when she sees someone watching her from a crack in the wall. Estelle wakes from this nightmare and slides out of her quarters. Donning her uniform, the pilot heads to the plane's cockpit to take over for one of her co-pilots. The woman soon lands at the airport and makes her way home to her husband Guillaume. He's on his way to the hospital for work, though he wonders if they can try conceiving a child before he leaves. The tired pilot tries to delay it, but her husband worries that they'll miss their window. With that, Estelle agrees. With Guillaume having a night shift at the hospital, his wife heads to bed alone that evening. She takes medicine to help her sleep and marks her activities on her fertility app, ensuring that everything in her life is in order. In the morning, Estelle swims and jogs to exercise. She runs a piloting procedure during her jog to keep it fresh in her mind. She soon takes an exam to renew her license, and on her way to another part of the test, she recognizes a woman amongst the arriving passengers. Estelle tries to avoid her, but Anna sees her anyway and invites her to reconnect. This encounter leaves Estelle distracted during her simulation test. She also views Anna's social media page when she gets home, smiling fondly as she does. She stops when she hears her husband returning on his motorcycle, though she leaves a reaction on one of Anna's videos. Having noticed this, Anna messages her, teasing her about spying on her profile. She also sends an old photo that Anna took of Estelle, reminding her of their time together. Reconnecting with her old friend, Estelle invites the woman to her home one day to meet her husband. Anna is a photographer, so she shares how she'll be having an exhibit to show her work where she captures people at moments of intense satisfaction. Curious, Guillaume asks if the people she photographs are okay with this, and Anna assures him that her models gave her permission. She notes that those moments portray honesty since they react to something from within the body. After the guest leaves, Estelle receives a message from Anna, giving her directions to her house. When her husband asks about the message, Estelle lies that it's just Anna thanking them for lunch. On another day, Estelle pilots a plane where the cargo catches on fire. This forces her to make an emergency landing, but as they do, the woman can't help but think of Anna. This causes them to fail, but thankfully it's only a simulation. Frustrated, Estelle drives home but ultimately turns to Anna's house instead. While parking her car, she notices a group of men on motorbikes hanging out nearby. She proceeds to Anna's beach house, which is the same place that she dreamed about days before. Unlike in her dream, the house isn't ruined, though she's confused about how she saw the place before ever arriving there. Estelle finds Anna inside and confesses that she was curious about her. This makes Anna smile, admitting that she's been wondering about her too. As tension builds between them, however, Estelle decides to leave, only to stop just outside the door, allowing Anna to catch up. After much hesitation, the pilot gives in and the two share an intimate moment for the first time in years. After their time together, Estelle realizes that she's late, so she hurries back home. Lucky for her, she arrives before her husband does. Guillaume greets her softly at first, but as he kisses her neck, he accuses her of taking advantage of things. Before she can ask what he means, the man suddenly chokes her. Estelle wakes up from this nightmare, finding herself still in Anna's bed. She then checks the time and sees that it's late, but because of the dream, she checks her neck and notices that it's red from her time of passion. With no choice, she showers in Anna's house before rushing home to erase any trace of what she'd done. Upon arriving home, her husband wonders why she is late, so Estelle just excuses that her tests ran long. The woman then goes to the bathroom but sees that her neck is still red. Recalling her nightmare, Estelle becomes dazed until her husband snaps her out of it. He notices the wound on her neck, but she brushes it off. Seemingly convinced, Guillaume just embraces her, not noticing that she's suddenly uncomfortable with his touch. The next day, Estelle and Anna enjoy each other's presence again. Afterward, Estelle wonders about Anna's exhibit, but the photographer isn't sure about it since she's getting another offer in London. As they talk, Anna notices Estelle ignoring her husband's call, so she wonders if she'd ever cheated before. Estelle says no and Anna laughs, proud that the woman only ever broke her vows with her. With this in mind, Estelle admits that she sometimes wonders if she only loved Guillaume because she convinced herself to do so. Anna assures her that in the end, they chose everything in their lives. However, Estelle argues that she didn't choose to fall for Anna. Just then, someone calls Anna. Estelle wonders if it's another lover, and Anna doesn't deny this before taking the call. This makes the pilot jealous, so she watches as Anna takes the call outside. This leads her to accidentally see the images the photographer is working on, and the pilot is horrified by how violent they look. Scared, the pilot decides to leave. She listens to Guillaume's voicemails on her way to her car, reminding her that they had an appointment with her gynecologist earlier. Estelle soon arrives at the hospital lying that she slept in. Unconvinced, Guillaume worries that she missed the appointment because she was having doubts. Estelle promises that it isn't the case, but her husband reminds her that no one loves her like he does, as if hinting his suspicions. These words haunt Estelle the following day, along with what she'd seen on Anna's laptop. Because of this, she worries that her distracted mind will lead to her crashing a plane. To avoid this, she visits the photographer to break things off with her. Anna tries to convince her that what they have is true, but Estelle asserts that she wants to start a family with Guillaume. Anna then offers to end things with her other lover, admitting that she wanted to make her jealous before. The photographer assures her that Estelle is in control of this relationship, so she calls her other lover and ends things with her. This convinces Estelle, so she becomes intimate with Anna again. After the deed, however, Estelle sees the crack in the wall she saw in her dream. To her horror, someone's watching from outside, so she heads out but only finds a man on a motorcycle heading away. On another day, she and Guillaume take a boat ride with her brother-in-law Marco and his wife Charlotte. However, Estelle's still busy texting her lover for a meetup, only for Anna to refuse her, dampening her mood. Having noticed this, Guillaume later asks who Estelle's been texting, and she lies that it was about work. Worried, he asks his wife to be present with him, so the woman turns her phone off to assure him. That evening, however, she sneaks out to swim to Anna's house only to find that their boat is surrounded by jellyfishes. Scared, Estelle climbs back up, only to find Guillaume catching her in the act. With no choice, the woman dives into the water. As she swims away, however, Estelle gets a vision of looking through the wall in Anna's house and seeing her lover getting bludgeoned. Estelle gasps awake from this nightmare, alarming her husband who's still in their bed with her. She'd bitten her lip while sleeping, so Guillaume tends to her wound. As he does, Estelle realizes that the eyes she's been seeing between the cracks on the wall were his. Scared, she secretly sends a message to Anna, wondering if she's okay. The woman doesn't respond the following day, and her calls go to voicemail, so Estelle drives to her place. To her dismay, she sees Anna with another woman, revealing that she didn't dump her other lover. Despite this, Estelle keeps calling the woman until evening. The events also have her losing sleep, so the pilot spends the night reviewing for work, though she performs poorly on her practice test. Rattled, she tries swimming to relax, but after a few laps, Estelle doesn't surface from the water. To her surprise, she wakes up in bed the following day with Guillaume telling her that he's off to work. Since she's in bed late, he weirdly asks her what she did last night. She claims that she just couldn't sleep, prompting him to wonder if she'd been taking her medicine. Estelle says yes, but Guillaume notes that she's been sleeping too much lately, worrying him that she's taking too much of her medicine. After he leaves, Estelle prepares her smoothie, though she notices that their home security system is malfunctioning. Making matters worse, she finds a voicemail from Anna, but it's only the sound of something being dragged, then the hum of an engine. She tries calling Anna, but it goes to voicemail again. With no choice, Estelle heads to Anna's house. She bangs on the door and looks through the windows to no avail. While doing so, Estelle accidentally steps on glass, much like what happened in her dream. Returning home, Estelle calls the gallery where Anna was supposed to hold her exhibit, wondering if they've been in contact with her. To her surprise, the gallery owner claims that they last spoke with the photographer when they filed a complaint about her distasteful work. Anna lashed out when they refused to exhibit her work, so she broke the man's car window. Confused, Estelle remains distracted at work and continues struggling to sleep at night. Insisting on finding out the truth, she checks Anna's last social media post, where she learns that her other lover is Joanna, who's opening a gallery in Tokyo. With this, Estelle books a flight to Tokyo to attend Joanna's gallery opening. The following day, she undergoes her annual physical and psychological exams, insisting that she is doing well. Miraculously, she passes everything, thus getting her license renewed. After that, Estelle returns to Anna's house and pries the door open. She finds broken glass on the floor and the closet's empty. Convinced that Anna abandoned her, she pictures the woman with Joanna but snaps out of it when she hears a vase breaking from the kitchen. Turning to it, she finds the kitchen clean with no broken vase in sight. Still, the sound reminds her of her vision of Anna's death, scaring her. She then hears the gate creaking due to the wind, so she steps out to close it. However, she realizes that this creaking is the same sound she heard from Anna's last voicemail. Using the recorded sounds, she follows the possible trail, which ends in the nearby ocean. Estelle cries, convinced that someone has killed Anna and dragged her body into the water. As if confirming this, she then discovers Anna's bracelet in the sand. That evening, Estelle presents this bracelet to her husband, noting that the photographer has been missing for days. This prompts her husband to ask if she'd been seeing the woman to know that she's missing. The woman dodges this question, insisting that she knows something happened as she's been seeing Anna getting attacked in her dreams. Still, Guillaume thinks his wife is just being paranoid after the woman stopped answering her messages. He points out that Anna disappeared from her life 20 years ago, so it shouldn't surprise her that it happened again. Estelle asserts that she knows something's not right, but her husband thinks she'd rather make up stories than admit her faults. With that, he pointedly asks if Estelle loves Anna. Guilty, the woman admits that she doesn't know. The worried man then advises her to skip her next flight. He also gives her medicine later to help her sleep. Though hesitant, Estelle complies, and Guillaume kisses her goodnight. This, however, leads to Estelle having nightmares about being attacked by her husband and flying through a stormy night. She soon realizes that the latter is real, as she later finds herself in a hotel in Tokyo. Having arrived at her destination, Estelle prepares to attend the gallery opening, only to receive a message from her husband saying that her physical exam revealed that she was finally pregnant. This makes her hesitate, yet she carries on. At the gallery, she finally meets Joanna and immediately asks if Anna will attend tonight. This confuses the gallery owner, noting that Anna never mentioned her before. Joanna then claims that she is unsure if the photographer will arrive, so Estelle warns her that she saw them together in Anna's home. Unfazed, Joanna tells the woman that she can have Anna since their relationship is merely casual. Still, the desperate pilot begs Joanna to call the photographer, so the gallery owner threatens to call security on Estelle. This makes Estelle back off, though she spots a woman from afar who looks like Anna. She follows her into a club and embraces her lover, only for the stranger she is mistaken for Anna to shove her. Estelle continues to search for Anna in the crowd, picturing her face everywhere. Soon, she spots Anna heading to the exit, so the deranged woman follows again, only to find herself stepping out of her sleeping quarters in an airplane. Confused, she goes to the cockpit and takes her seat. Suddenly, the system warns them of an oncoming aircraft. The woman freezes despite her co-pilot ordering her to descend the plane. With no choice, the man takes the levers from her, narrowly saving them from collision. Days later, Estelle gets investigated due to the incident and undergoes a blood test. With her license at risk, Guillaume promises to take care of everything for all three of them, as the woman is indeed pregnant. This, however, doesn't uplift the woman's spirit. One night, she wakes up to find her husband with Marco and Charlotte outside. She gets up to meet their guests but receives a call from the airline's doctor. The woman warns her that they found high levels of depressants in her system, though this would only make sense if Estelle had any major procedures recently. Horrified, Estelle looks towards her husband, wondering if he'd switched her sleeping medication. She asks the doctor for the side effects of the depressants, and the woman notes that they include hallucination, confusion, and memory loss. This leads her to believe that her husband's been causing her paranoia and delusions. As she looks at the people outside, she starts recalling visions of him and Marco covering up something by the shore, then taking a boat to dump it in the ocean. With this, she attacks her husband, and the man accidentally pushes her off the ledge. Hurt, Estelle runs away but gets hit by a car. Estelle wakes up in the hospital hours later and weeps upon discovering that she lost her child. Days after, another nurse checks on her wounded eye, and Estelle is horrified to see her face now matching the eyes she's been seeing on the cracked wall. This finally triggers her memories of the night after she saw Anna with Joanna. After swimming in the pool failed to calm her down, Estelle drove to her lover's house to confront her. She watched as Anna begged for Joanna to stay with her, assuring her that she was in control of their relationship. This was the same promise Anna made her days ago, angering the scorned lover further. Estelle then peeked into the cracked wall to watch as Anna initiated intimacy with the gallery owner just like she had with her. After Joanna left, Estelle snuck into the house while Anna was showering. She then discovered a Bluetooth remote on the coffee table, and when she pressed the button, she heard clicking from a nearby wall. This led to her discovering the camera Anna used to capture moments of intimacy without her lovers knowing. Upon plugging it into Anna's laptop, she confirmed that amongst the photos are her images. Suddenly, Anna approached casually, wondering if Estelle liked her photos. Seeing her horrified expression only made the photographer laugh and tease her about how much happier she looked in her pictures. This drove Estelle mad, so she slammed the paperweight across the photographer's face. As Anna fell, she broke the vase from the counter, which was what Estelle heard the last time she was at the house. Not knowing what to do, Estelle called her husband for help. Without question, the dutiful Guillaume called his brother, and the men helped his wife get rid of the body. Afterward, Guillaume gave Estelle the depressant to help her forget what happened, hoping that they could move on from the incident. Acknowledging everything he sacrificed for her, Estelle soon reconciles with her husband as he takes her back home. On their way, however, the woman asks him to drive her up to Anna's house. With her in a wheelchair, Guillaume takes her near the ledge so she can gaze upon her ex-lover's watery grave. As she does, she spots a swimmer emerging from the ocean. Estelle realizes that the swimmer is her, and the people she saw watching her in her first dream were herself and her husband. As if time is repeating itself, she watches as the other Estelle heads to Anna's ruined house, unable to warn her about the tragedy that would befall her.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.